Hey everyone, Aisha here. So I've been wanting to share this message for a few days now. And so I'm super excited to talk to you about the topic, why you need to pray for your children's spouse, even while they're still kids, and even if you are pregnant, like why it's so important to be able to start praying for your children's spouse. And the reason why I decided to talk about this is because I saw something on social media that really caught my attention. And the person who wrote this said that dating is easy for her when she learns that somebody is Christian or religious, because she knows not to talk to him again because it's too much, mind stuff to undo for her. And so when I saw that, number one, I appreciated her honesty, right? But the second thing is I'm like, wow, you know what? This shows you why it's important as a mom, or, if it's a dad watching, it's like why you need to start praying for your children's spouses. Because not everyone is going to see that your child is a Christian and decide that they don't want to get involved, because you have to understand that the devil has people on assignment to draw your kids away from Christ, right? And so if you look at what she said, is that, she doesn't want to date a Christian or somebody with a religious background because she doesn't want to have to work to undo their foundation of Christianity, right? To make that person appealing to her. But you have to understand that the devil actually has people on assignment whose role is to undo the Christian foundation that you have laid in your household, to undo their beliefs, to try and draw them away from Christ, and to try and disrupt and destroy their entire Christian foundation, and cause them to doubt God, to cause them to doubt Jesus, to cause them to leave the faith, abandon the faith, and live like somebody who is not of the faith anymore. And so seeing that really sparked that thought in my mind. And I really wanted to share with you that there are people on assignment to try and undo the foundation in Christ that you are working to lay with your child. And I know somebody who this has happened to, who, like, this person's child, her son got involved with a witch. And that witch, and ever since he, got with the witch, he ended up leaving Christ, and his life has not been the same in a good way at all. And so you have to recognize that we battle not against flesh and blood, but according to Ephesians 6, it tells that there are principalities and princes and rulers of darkness in high places. And this is why Paul goes on to say to put on the full armor of God, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the shoes of the gospel of peace, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and the shield of faith to extinguish the fiery arrows of the evil one, because we really need it for this battle, right? Like, this stuff is real. This stuff is real. And so you really have to start praying for your child's spouse. Even when they're a child, you have to pray that the Lord keeps all counterfeits away. You have to pray that anyone on an ungodly assignment against your child is thwarted, disrupted, and their evil assignments fail, that the counsel of the wicked fails. You have to pray that anyone who would seek to destroy the foundation that you're leaving in your child in Christ comes nowhere near your child. You have to pray that, 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right, but it will not come near me, according to Psalm 91. You have to really be able to pray and stand on assignment to say, Lord, give my child the spouse that you have created for them from before the foundation of the world. Because don't be deceived. Even if someone says that they're a Christian, does not mean that they are a Christian, and it does not mean that they have good intent. So you really need to make sure that you're praying for the will of God to go into, to be, to come forth in your child's life, and the will of God for your child's spouse to to be made, for your child to have the spouse after the will of God, right? And so when I saw this post, I was reminded of the story of Samson. Samson was strong. Samson, was raised. He had the Nazarene vow, meaning he wasn't supposed to cut his hair. His life was supposed to be dedicated to God. But Samson was kind of a mess, because even if you look at Judges 16, Samson got involved with a prostitute. Samson was supposed to be dedicated to God, right? But he was sleeping around with prostitutes, and then he met a woman named Delilah. And Delilah was on an evil assignment to destroy Samson's life. Samson fell in love with the wrong person. The Philistines, who knew Samson's strength, who knew Samson could not be overcome because of his strength, they knew that Samson fell in love with Delilah, and that they knew that they could draw Samson away from his purpose through a woman. And so they already knew, right, that Samson was sleeping with the prostitutes, and then they tried to get him while he was with the prostitute. They laid in wait for him and waited for him to leave. So they already were plotting on how to use a woman to get after Samson and destroy his life. And then in Judges 16:4, we see that said after he was with the prostitute, then he decided he loved a woman named Delilah. And because he loved Delilah, his enemies went to Delilah and asked her to seduce him and see where his great strength lies, and by what means may we overpower him, that we may bind him and humble him, and we will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said yes. So Delilah was with Samson. Delilah knew Samson loved her, but yet secretly Delilah was scheming against Samson to ruin his life. And as soon as she got paid, she was like a Judas in his life. As soon as she got paid, she started to ask him, and this is in Judges 16:6. Please tell me where your great strength lies and how you might be bound, and that one could subdue you. And so Samson was lying. Samson wasn't telling her the truth. And so, but the thing is, he didn't pick up on it, right? That every time he told her what the secret was, and it turned out it was a lie, she tried it. She tried to overpower him. She tried to see if that was the thing that made him weak. But for whatever reason, Samson didn't pick up on the fact that she was scheming. He continued to stay with her because love blinded him, right? Love blinded him. And we see later on, it says that his heart was vexed, right, with her continuing asking. But he was so in love with her, he ignored the red signs. He ignored the fact that she was not there for him. And so finally, after 3, and then she would make him feel bad, like when it didn't work, right? She was like, oh, you mocked me. You told me lies. You didn't really tell me this. So she was really seducing him to try and destroy him. And this is another prayer point. Like, you have to pray. Anyone who is trying to seduce your child to get them off track and to get them off the destiny or that God has for them, or to destroy your life, may that person be thou removed and be cast into the sea in the name of Jesus Christ. Not like the little sea that they would die, but to be able to remove them from your child's life, remove them from your child's presence, that they will never cross paths who is on a Delilah assignment against your child. May they never cross paths, because she was on an evil assignment. And so when she found out, and this is where it gets so terrible, right? And so he said in Judges 13, it says, then Delilah said to Samson, until now you mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you might be bound. And he said to her, that was not it. Actually, I wanted to start, go down to actually verse 15. And it says, how she said to him, how can you say I love you when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and you have not told me where your great strength lies. And when she pressed him hard with her words day after day and urged him, his soul was vexed to death, right? It was almost like her words put a spell on him that vexed him to the point where, he wanted to die. Like, it was just so overpowering to him, right? What she was doing to him to try and literally take his life. And so in verse 17, he actually tells her, he says, and he told her all his heart and said to her, remember, this woman 3 previous times has extracted some information from him and tested it to see if it was true. And he never picked up on why she kept doing this, right? So he was blinded by love. But yet in verse 17 it says, and he told her all his heart and said to her, a razor has never come upon his head, because he has been a Nazarite to God from his mother's womb. Meaning that his life had been dedicated to God. He had taken the Nazarene vow, similar to John the Baptist. And then he said, if his head is shaved, then his strength will leave him and he shall be weak and like any other man. And so as soon as Delilah got that information, what she did with this is she called to the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up again, for he has told me his heart. Then the Lord of the Philistines came up to her, brought the money in their hands, and she made Samson sleep on her knees, and then she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. And then guess what? Not only did she betray Samson, then after she betrayed Samson, she tormented Samson and made fun of Samson because he fell for the betrayal. So she tormented him and his strength left him. And then she said, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. He awoke from his sleep and said that he will go out as the other times and shake himself free. But it didn't work. It didn't work. The Philistines overpowered him, and then they gouged out his eyes, tied him up, and then took him into captivity, right? And made a sport out of watching him struggle. But then, so you see that his life was ruined. And then even it says, in here that the Lord left him, because once he committed that sin, right? Once he had his hair cut, the Lord's Spirit left him. And we see that on, in verse 20, it says, but he did not know that the Lord had left him. And so they ended up overpowering him, shackling him, and then made fun of him, rejoiced in his suffering, and then ultimately he died because he trusted the wrong woman. And I say this not just to say, this just really came to me because I was really thinking about this teaching in terms of praying for your spouse, praying that the wrong person does not enter the life of your child. Ask the child, pray and ask the Lord, give your child discerning eyes to be able to see who is for your child and who is not for your child. Ask the Lord to give you discerning eyes that you can begin to see, even if your child isn't, it doesn't say anything to you, even if you've never met who your child is dating. Give you the wisdom and discernment, the spiritual wisdom and discernment, and spiritual eyesight to be able to know if your child starts dating the wrong person, even without your child telling you. To be able to know if your child has ever crossed paths with the wrong person, even without your child knowing. Have you ever experienced it where you did something wrong and your mom just knew? You didn't tell her. No one had to tell her, but she just knew you did something wrong. You need spiritual sniper type vision like that. Right? You have to be able to see in the spirit to be able to make sure, to know, when to start interceding, to be something don't feel right. Start interceding to pray that person away out your child's life, because getting attached to the wrong person can destroy your life. It can destroy your child's life, and you don't need that because God has a purpose and plan for your child. We see this with Samson, and I say this to say it's not just not marrying the wrong person. That is important. Who you're yoked to in marriage matters, right? It matters. But who you're yoked to in friendship matters too. Who you're yoked to in friendship matters too. And we can see it on the news. We see people who had promising, sports careers or educational careers, but then they got connected to the wrong person and their lives, unfortunately, ended up not good. There was that one guy in the singing group whose friend caused a mess in the club, and then the guy who was in the rap group got shot because the friend did some mess in the club. And like, I know something that happened to somebody else. The friend did some mess, and then they ended up killing the best friend because they couldn't get to the one who did the mess. Like, this stuff is real. This stuff happens in real life. And so you have to start interceding for your children early and often. Intercede for their friendships. Intercede for them at school. Intercede for their future spouse. Making sure that they are yoked with the right person. And if you're not married, make sure that you're praying that when God brings you your husband, that you get yoked to the right person. Because I've seen other situations where the mom gets yoked to the wrong person and the child gets abused. So who you're yoked to matters. And so you see it, like, I encourage everyone, read Judges 16. Read about Delilah and Samson, and read how that woman ruined that man's life. Like, I want you to read it because I want you to take this assignment seriously. Like, as a parent, you have an awesome responsibility to raise your children up in the ways of the Lord. And you have an awesome responsibility to intercede for your child, because this is the powerful thing about intercession. Intercession can stop stuff from happening. Your child doesn't have to learn the hard way. Your intercession can stop things from happening. And so I just really wanted to leave you with that. Samson lost his life for getting connected with the wrong person. And I'm sure that each of you who are listening to this right now can think of at least one person who got connected with the wrong friend, who dated the wrong person, who married the wrong person, and their lives were never the same. May that never happen to your child. Stay on the post. Stay in intercession for your child. And teach your child what to look for in healthy friendships. Teach your child what to look for in terms of healthy relationships. If you are in a relationship, model that for your child. Model it about what a healthy relationship looks like. And if you are not in a healthy relationship, leave that relationship, because you don't need to bring that mess to your house and expose your child to it. And so that's all I have for you today. And absolutely, Isaiah, who you are yoked with, yep, the wrong person, it can be terrible. It can be devastating. And so I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Leave a heart. Let me know how this helped you. Let me know how this is going to shift how you pray for your child. And make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you like. Leave a comment. Share this with your friend. And also, if you do not already have the book, Navigating the Impossible, a survival guide for single moms from pregnancy through the first year of motherhood, I encourage you to grab this book on Amazon. It is amazing. It is literally your step-by-step guide on how to move forward after experiencing an unplanned pregnancy and moving into becoming a single mom. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to struggle as a single mom. Like, you can thrive, right? And it really matters how you get started on this journey. So that way you can avoid some of the mistakes. You can avoid some of the hardships that can come if you don't get started on the right path. And so I pray this has been a blessing for you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.